Good morning, my dear students. Very good morning to you all. So today's topic is metal joining processes. Metal joining processes. By the topic itself, you can understand something. So metal pieces to be joined, maybe two or more pieces to be joined to get the desired shape and all. You remember uh, your gate, house gate made of steel. It's not a single piece structure. Is using a steel material to manufacture that gate. And window grills. You imagine steel bridges. Steel bridges are not constructed out of a single piece. Many pieces of iron are taken uh, and joined by using uh, a welding process. Even your gate is also made of to manufacture that one. A welding process is used. So these welding joints are very strong, very strong. So like that, electronic engineers to design or fabricate their circuit boards, they are using soldering. And in your native places, you might have observed TV repairer or a radio repairer or your mobile handset repairer is using. They are using soldering. Another example of welding and soldering. Welding and soldering. Soldering is a weak joint. Weak joint. It's not strong, but welding joint is very strong. Very strong. In between these two, we have another type. That's a brazing. A brazing process we have. So one by one, I'm going on explaining it. And here many sketches are there. Without sketches, these processes are not possible to explain. Anyway, in a soldering, you might have observed that process that a mechanic, TV mechanic or your mobile handset repairer is having solder iron or soldering gun and wire. The soldering wire is having and some paste-like material is also having on its table, paste-like. So these are the items required for soldering process. So when the soldering iron or soldering gun is heated by using electricity, electrical energy is converted into heat energy. That heat is enough to join the two metal pieces. For example, copper wire you wanted to join these two. First of all, you position those wires properly. Then you take the solder gun or what is that solder iron, right? So it is in the hot condition, and you are holding the solder that's in the form of wire in your hand. You bring it near to the joint, and you apply heat. So wire melts, and upon cooling, it forms a joint. Like this is the soldering process. So here at the joint to be perfect, it should be strong enough. For that, we are using in all the processes we are using some kind of material in the form of a flux. Flux, flux. What is the function of flux? No, the function of flux is it will clean the area where you are preparing the joint, and it avoids atmospheric oxygen to react with the joint you prepared, because a joint is at somewhat higher temperature. If atmospheric oxygen is reacting with, it forms some metal oxide, and the joint will not be stronger. To avoid that one, we are using flux material in soldering. Flux, remember, FLUX, flux material. Now, I am going to share my laptop screen to you to demonstrate soldering. This ಇದು open ಮಾಡವಾ ಇದು ಇದಮ್ಮ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಇದು ಇನ್ನೇ zoom ಮಾಡ. So look at the screen. Look at the screen. Soldering is a process in which two or more metal items are joined together by melting and then flowing a filler metal. Filler metal here is a solder into the joint, but the filler metal having a relatively low melting point. So the temperatures that iron solder iron or soldering gun is around 350 degrees Celsius. That is enough to melt the solder. Okay. So here we have that 1 minute. Here. So now exactly by 10, nobody is joining in between. You are disturbing me. Okay. Leave it. Now look at the sketch which I displayed. So this is the electronics engineers. You know that they are using the circuit board. So this is the solder iron or soldering gun. So here is the solder wire. Solder wire. The same is displayed here. This is the soldering gun. Soldering gun. And this is the solder. That's in the form of wire. Wire. He wanted to make a joint here, right? So he prepares the joint. Now you see that this is the person holding in one hand that is soldering gun. In the right hand is feeding that solder which is in the form of wire. Next forward cursor. Yes, this is the reel of solder. This is in the form of wire. Next forward. Yes, this is the soldering gun, a solder iron. So this is plugged to the power supply, so that due to that one, so this part is getting heated. This part is getting heated. This part is getting heated. Its a temperature I can adjust. So normally we are using 350 degrees Celsius. Next. This is the entire soldering kit. So here reels are there, solder wire. So this is the solder gun or solder iron. So this is the flux material. These are some IC chips. for electronics engineers are using. Okay. Next, okay, proceed. So this is all about the soldering. Okay. Now I am going to share some information about brazing. Yesterday I told in brazing process we are using spelter material. Spelter, S-P-E-L-T-E-R. Spelter material. The metal pieces to be joined are heated and the spelter material is introduced. Due to heat, the spelter material melts and flows over the surface by capillary action. And upon cooling, it forms a joint. So, brazing. Okay. So this one is the one, right? So this one is the cursor better. This one is the brazing process. This is one piece, metal piece. This is another metal piece. So these two pieces are to be joined to form this shape. So here already, this one is the filler material. Filler wire is provided here. You see, filler wire is that is made of a spelter. It is commercially known as a spelter. Spelling once again I repeat it, S-P-E-L-T-E-R, spelter. This is the heat supplied to melt that one. To melt that wire, filler wire, the heat is supplied. So here laser beam is used. Laser beam is used. We can use another facility to melt that wire. So, so here the pool of the metal, which is in the form of molten metal, you can say it's a molten metal. Okay. So the travel, the movement is from in this direction, from here this end to this end. So when you move from this end to this end, here at this spot, that spelter material is in the form of molten state. So this part is already solidified, already joint is formed. So still remaining length is from here to here. Okay, this is the brazing process. So here once again you look at here. Yeah, so some are joining in between. You see that how brazing works. So here this is the one base metal, and this is another base metal. So both are heated. Both are heated. So brazing material is introduced between these two. So due to the heat of the base metals, the brazing material, that is a spelter, melts. Upon cooling, we get that is a brazing joint. Okay, there is no confusion at all. Here, as a filler material, we are using spelter. In soldering, we are using solder. Solders are two types are there. One is hard solder, soft solder. You information you collect extra. But is simply what we have to do in this chapter is we have to introduce these processes to you. Okay. The next one is so here also some sketches are there. These sketches illustrate a brazing process. Okay. Next, I take up. Would like to introduce uh, welding process. Welding process. Welding process. So here we have arc welding, which commonly used in your native places. Commonly used arc welding. Arc welding. Next one is metal inert gas welding, or another name is gas metal arc welding. Gas metal arc welding, or simply you can call it as MIG welding. MIG. Metal inert gas welding. Next type we have tungsten inert gas welding. Here, in both the cases, in MIG welding or TIG welding, I am pronouncing inert gas, inert gas, inert gas. What is that inert gas? Inert gas is nothing but it will not react with any material. It is almost is a neutral material, neutral gas. It will not react with any other gases. Example for this one, helium, argon, helium, argon gases. I am going to display it, share my screen with you so that you can follow. In arc welding, in your native places, you might have observed it. If not, you visit the workshop in your native place, okay, then you grasp how he is doing it. So if suppose if you want to join two iron metal pieces, to get the desired shape, to get the desired joint. So what we have to do is put those two metal pieces in position, and welding transformer is there just to supply power. So electrode holders is in your hand. Electrode holder is in your hand. In the electrode holder, you are connecting or fixing electrode. This electrode, its composition is almost same as the base metal pieces to be joined. The electrode, that electrode which you are using here is coated with flux material, coated with flux material in arc welding. Flux material. Function already I told. At the joint, at the metal joint, initially it will be at very high temperature. Initially it will be at a high temperature. Suppose if the atmospheric air is in contact with that material at the temperature, definitely the temperature supports some oxidation process. Due to that one, oxides are forming. So joint which you prepared may not be a strong joint. So that to avoid atmospheric air to react with the metal joint which is at high temperature, we are using flex material. The flex material also cleans the surface where we are going for joining two metal pieces. So this is the, and in the arc welding process, your electrode holder is made part of the electrical circuit,